I need to have my phone charger and my alarm clock on my nightstand without it looking like this. So I built this instead. Like most people my age, I didn't always have a cell phone. I had a landline and there was a phone on the nightstand next to my bed. So when I did get a cell phone, I just charged it on the TV stand, which is all the way on the other end of the house. Now, we haven't had a landline for several years, but that old habit still exists. What if there's an emergency and I actually need this? Now, not to be overly dramatic, but that is a legitimate concern, considering if there was a fire or someone broke into the house, it would probably be on the end of the house where the phone's actually charging. Since my alarm clock's also about 25 years old, it seemed like a good time to retire that too and just build something that would look cool sitting next to the bed. All right, let that cook in the clamps and we'll go into CAD and start drawing up the next part. So the original plan was to just build this whole thing out of walnut and, carve in a spot for the charger and a nice cradle for the phone to sit in. Then I realized that about every 2 to 3 years, we probably all end up changing phones, and they never make them the same size. What I decided was I was going to 3D print a faceplate that the phone will fit into with the charger, and then down the road, if things change, I can always come back and print out a new plate without turning that beautiful piece of walnut into basically a paperweight. First thing I need to do is jump into Fusion 360 and we'll draw that up, get our shape done, and we can print some stuff out and see how it fits. All right, so after 3 tries, I came up with one that actually fits my phone perfectly. Charger fits nicely in that pocket. I've got lots of airflow in the back here. Hopefully that'll let the heat dissipate. This is all ribbed so the air can go through everything. On the back side here, you can see I've come up with some thread-in pins. These are just friction fit. That way I can remove this if I ever get a new phone, redesign the whole thing, and pop another plate right on the front of the wood without having to deal with any adhesive or tape or anything like that. I decided I wanted the front face to lean back, so I set the fence on the joiner to 5 degrees and I made a few passes until the whole front was flat. While I was working on that, I printed a pattern to match my faceplate so I could screw that onto the face and get the exact shape that I needed to work the body down to. All right, got our pattern printed out. I'm just gonna screw that to the face of our blank here, and then we can start laying out our shape, take it over to the bandsaw, and start getting things roughed out. So I went through, I cut the 5 degree taper on the joiner and just turned around and cut it back square on the bandsaw, and kind of defeated the whole purpose of what I was doing. So I gotta get this right in my head and figure out, I don't know. Can you tell I usually make square stuff and not flowy, organic, artsy looking things? Figure this out. So after staring at it for a few minutes, I figured out that I just needed to flip it upside down and cut the other end off, and I'd be right back where I wanted to be. A couple of passes over the joiner to flatten that cut, and we can move on to laying out all the curves. Screw that back on and keep it in place. Start shaping everything. As I've mentioned before, I don't typically work with curves and organic shapes like this, and because of that, I don't have any carving and shaping tools to do it. I started trying to work the shape down by hand, but I quickly realized these were not the right tools for the job, so moved over to the belt sander to do the bulk of the rough shaping work, and I'll just fine tune things later. So I got the shape roughed out and kind of like the direction it's going, but I do have one little problem. These little divots here, I have to try to figure out the best way to get in there and dig those out. Let's see what I can come up with for that. What I came up with was from the metal shop. I grabbed the die grinder and some carbide burrs and started working that shape in with those. Once the shape was roughed out, I used a round face rasp to even it all out and then a sanding spindle on the drill to get it smooth. I'm pretty close to where I want it roughed out, so kind of trying to refine that a little bit before I get too far. And then we got to make the other side. Try to make a match. Once I had both sides roughed in, I moved on to getting the whole thing down to its final shape, which was mostly sanding. Lots and lots of sanding. I drilled out the holes for the pins using the guides in the pattern, and I needed to make a passage for the power cord to run through the body. I had thought about trying to drill all the way to the back end, but I knew if it didn't come out dead center, it would end up triggering my OCD every time I looked at it, so I decided to bring it out through the bottom. That turned out to be a good decision because, of course, the wood split and splintered when the bit came out. I was able to clean it up, and I glued the pieces back in and smoothed it all out with some glue and sawdust and sanded it all down later. Now that we're getting down to the end, I really love how the curves of the grain flow with the curves that I'd cut into the side. It almost looks like I bent the wood into this shape instead of cutting it out. After a couple more hours of hand sanding, I added 3 coats of pure tung oil finish to really make the grain pop without making it look too shiny or plastic looking. Speaking of plastic, it's time to get the front face on and see if this fusion of plastic and walnut actually works or if I just wasted a lot of wood and time. Now that it's all together, I really like how it turned out, but I want to know what you think. Is it a worthy replacement for my old alarm clock, or did I totally miss the mark mixing the plastic and the walnut together? Let me know down in the comments. That's going to be a wrap for this project, so don't forget to check out one of these other builds, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.